everybody, and welcome to the session today. I just realized that my audio wasn't set up correctly. I think you can all see the screen a lot better today, but obviously there was the audio mic had not set properly when we came onto the broadcast. So confirm that you can hear me fine. That would be great, please, and then I will continue. All right. I'm pretty sure there's a delay in the timing when I say something, so you guys aren't going to let me know that the audio is working fine for a little while. So let me just double check that everything's set at my end correctly, which I believe it is now. You should be able to see the screen fine, and I'll continue or start with what we're going to talk about today. So first of all, I'm going to take you to my webinar, my article that I've written on our new site, which is whichaddon.com. Whichaddon.com has the, oh, this doesn't like coming across here when it's in low resolution. Come on. There we go. All right. Okay, so I'm taking you here to the article that we've written on whichaddon.com, which is where you can come back to if you want to come back and see some of the new inventory improvements that Dear released this week. So Dear Inventory is our focus for the Seed in Action series at the moment, and we're going to be going through other add-on solutions as well as time goes on. And if you have any suggestions about the different solutions that you want to see, then please just let us know by email or here in the chat box. So today, as I said, we're going to go through the Dear Inventory improvements that were released this week. Now, there's two major improvements that have happened initially, and I'm just going to mention them to you and show you where to find the information in the article here, but I'm not actually going to be showing you in the demonstration today. In the demonstration, we're going to go through a lot of the changes that have happened inside Dear, and also how that gets affected in Xero. And then the Shopify integration changes and just the basics about the Shopify integration we'll be covering in our next week's webinar. Then the following week, I'll go over the Magento and Dear integration so you can see how that works as well. So the Magento integration and the Shopify integration I'm going to be covering in detail in the next two webinars. If you want to have a look at the changes that have been made, then you can go to our article on whichaddon.com. If you just go to the main front page and you'll see this blog on the front page or in the blog posts. So today what we're going to be focusing on is the new features that have come about with the supplier and customer merging, emails, and a number of other cool features around the documentation. If you have any questions at any time, please place them in the question panel. I had my question panel closed down before, which is why I didn't notice the issues we were having, but I've now got it open up so I can see there if you ask me any questions at any time. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do today is we're going to have a look at supplier and customer merging. So in Dear, you now have the ability to merge customer and supplier records. So the way you access this is to go down to the View All section of the suppliers or customers, and then you merge the customers in there. So just a moment ago, when I didn't have my audio on properly, it was showing you I was showing you how to merge to suppliers. Let me show you how to merge to customers so I can repeat that process. You probably saw it, but if you couldn't hear it, then it's not very useful. So let's go to View All, Customers View All. And then in Customers, under View All, we can see that there's this More Actions button. And under More Actions, we have the ability to merge selected customers. To merge selected customers, we simply just need to tick on both of the customers that we want to merge together and then merge the selected customers. So let's take these two, for example, City Ambassadors Association and City Limousines. Okay, let's just pretend that it was supposed to be City Limousines, but City Ambassadors Association was what it was recorded as. So we've ticked both of those customers. We go to More Actions and then Merge Selected Customers. We then need to select the primary customer that will be used as the main customer to merge into the others. So our primary customer that we want to keep the record of is City Limousines. Hit merge, and we've successfully merged those two customers. Now, I don't know if you saw that note up there. I forgot to read it out first of all. It says that merging is irreversible, and that if you do the merge inside Dia, it doesn't reflect inside Xero. You also need to go and merge those customers inside Xero. Because if we do it inside Dia here now, and we leave the contacts inside Xero, then when the synchronization happens, it's going to sync Xero back up into Dia, and then that City Ambassadors Association, which is still sitting in Xero, will show back up inside Dia. So let's go do it inside Xero. If you haven't used Xero much, then that's okay. I'm going to show you how to merge the contacts inside Xero. So in Xero, we go to contacts, and if I select the letter C, it'll give me my contacts starting with C, and I should find City Ambassadors Association and City Limousines, which I do, because the contacts, when you have Dia and Xero together, the contacts are synchronized, and they mimic each other, they mirror each other. So I need to merge City Ambassadors Association with City Limousine. When I do it inside Xero, you don't tick both, you just tick the one that you don't want, and you go to merge, the merge button here, and then you write in the one that you do want, which is City Limousines. Hit yes, and then now those contacts are merged. Unlike in Dia, where you can't undo a merge, inside Xero, you can undo a merge. Okay, so you can undo it if you want to. Okay, so that is merging customers. And as you may have seen before, I showed you how, without audio, how to merge the suppliers, but now I'm showing you how to merge the customers. And merging customers, suppliers is exactly the same as merging customers. All right. The next thing I want to take you through is another improvement they've made to include the include in email tick box that they have for both customer and supplier contacts. So this time I might actually do it inside the suppliers. So if we go to view all, I'll just have a look and see if this one, if ABC Furniture has the information ticked. No, it doesn't. Perfect. Okay, so let's look back at the supplier list. On the supplier list, I can see ABC Furniture. And when I click on ABC Furniture, this is my supplier card. I can see all the supplier details. And down in the contacts, I can see the name of my contact, phone number, email, that they're the default contact for this person, and include in emails. This is the box that's been added. Now, little story about why this is so important. When Dia used to sync information with Xero, Dia would push through contact information into Xero, but the Xero contact, the main contact, wasn't affected by the fact that the contact information had come across into Xero. What I mean by that is if you had a default contact inside Xero, it would just, that information would show up. So if you were sending statements out to people and things like that, then it meant that whatever default account person, primary person you had on your Xero contact card wasn't updated. I had a scenario with a client that's been using Dia for the last few months, and they have a sales team, an operations team, and an accounts team. And the accounts team doesn't have anything to do with the sales team as such, other than invoicing out the sales. The sales reps were going and adding in, doing all their quotes for their contacts and adding in lots of new contacts. Let's say you've got a big company, a big building company, and they're tendering out to the building company. It might be a different project manager each time, so you'd have a different contact each time that you need to send emails to. So you'd have to add that contact into Dia so it shows up on the quotes or on the sales orders if different people are making sales orders. And before they had this include in emails button, it would mean that the new contact would often override the contact that was sitting in the accounts inside Xero. So when it came to statement time, the person doing the statement needed to go through and review all of the emails to make sure that the email address that the statement was going to be sent to was in fact the accounts department and not the estimators department or the quote department. So what this include in emails does means that that include in emails box that we have inside Xero, which is the one that the statements get sent to, is the one that's going to be used when you send the Xero statements. So let's have a look inside Xero at this same contact so we can see what it looks like. So if I go into Xero and go to ABC Furniture, and click Edit, here I've got the primary person as Trish Rawlings and her email address here. And if I go to add another person, I can then choose to add the other person in the email and whether I want to include them in emails or not. So before I add that other person, the only person that's going to get emailed about this statement or anything you're emailing from Xero, whether it be an invoice or a statement or something else, then they're going to be included in those emails. So let's just use an example here. We're going to update the details. We're going to add an estimator example and maybe a business owner example. So let's just add a couple of contacts in here, and then we will sync it with Xero so we can see how it changes. So let's just say it's Jerry Murphy, the estimator. And we'll put a phone number in there. We'll just copy and paste that one. And then I don't want to change myself to be the default, but I don't want to be included in the emails because I'm the estimator. I just want to be able to be selected when I do an invoice so that I can be recorded on the quote. But I don't want to be included in any emails from inside Xero. Now we'll just type in business owner. And this time, I do want this person to be included in the emails. So let's save this contact. Oh, need to choose a tax rule on this person. We'll put it on GST on expenses. Save that contact, and we're going to sync it with Xero. Now, when you sync with Xero, the synchronization happens, and if there's any errors between the DIA and Xero integration, it does pop up with the errors that can't happen. Now, I just linked up to my demo company before I joined onto this session, so I know there's some missing accounts, chart of accounts in my demo company that aren't showing up here for DIA to work correctly. For those of you that have used the demo company before for training and things, you'd know that there isn't a default account, stock on hand account there that can be linked through to Xero. Since Xero released inventory on their own, they had, since they released inventory, they have I think it's 610, I can't remember the exact account. They have an account for inventory, but that standard account that is provided in inventory in Xero, so for Xero's inventory function, not using an add-on, that standard inventory account in Xero can't be used to map the stock on hand account inside DIA. So DIA needs a stock on hand account, which is just a current asset account, and it needs, the cost of goods sold account. You can link to the existing cost of goods sold account, but you can't link to the existing inventory account. You'd have to create another. So if anyone needs any help on that, I'll show you how to do that if you let me know, but it's just adding an extra chart of account in here to map to, and my mapping isn't set up. But because it's just a few sales codes and things that can't, invoices and things that can't go across because they're trying to push across into that inventory account. But what has happened is there's been accounts updated, tax rules updated, customers imported from Xero, and suppliers imported, a contact created and updated. So hopefully that is ABC Furniture. So let's jump out of here. And we'll go back into ABC Furniture. Select Edit. And here now we have all of these other people in here, the ones that we just added inside DIA. And when we go to send a statement, I don't know if ABC Furniture owe us any money at the moment, but when we go to send a statement, it will be this person that gets the email and the business owner, because we've now got this include in email. So it's a direct sync back between the two, which is very handy and stops those issues that people were having previously. Okay, the next thing I wanted to show you was a thing, an improvement that they've made in relation to the picking in the finished goods section. So finished goods now has a picking improvement, which involves putting in a new button, to like a new pick button, so you can add additional lines to the pick table when you're doing a bill of materials. It's only visible in the authorized status. So let's go and have a look at that. Now, I know that some of you may not have dealt with bill of materials before, and if you saw our training last week on batch and serial tracking, which you can find on YouTube, there is a bit of an understanding of how the bill of materials works inside Xero. We're not here to go into detail with the bill of materials, but what I'll do my best to explain it as easy as I can for those of you that aren't comfortable with bill of materials. So we'll do it through our example. So let's go to production and let's go to new assembly. A new assembly inside DEAR is where we actually go and combine raw materials together and create them into a new item. Whether it's taking this example, we've got a frozen pizza and we're putting it in a pizza box, and we're creating a pizza ready to sell already in a box. That's our example that we've got here. Sometimes you might be doing that. Sometimes you might be taking a candle and a ribbon and a hamper box and putting all of that inside a hamper product that you're selling for a special Christmas thing. So you can bundle products together, or you can actually build things. It's amazing what you can do. I even had one the other day where I was actually doing a disassembly, which is this thing over here, where it's a backwards assembly, where I was actually teaching someone how to take a whole pig, because they're meat small goods producers, taking a whole pig and disassembling it down into all the cuts that you make from a whole pig. So it's very, very powerful. You have no idea how powerful it is, but yeah, just imagine it, and there's a lot you can do in here. So let's go to new assembly, and what we're going to do is we're going to create that same pizza box that we were dealing with last week, a product ready to sell. But now, since the update of Monday, we can actually do a few more things in this screen that we couldn't do before. So we're saying we're going to make this this pizza box, so we're going to make 10 pizza boxes, and we're doing it in the main warehouse. That's an important thing, because when you choose your location, it's looking at stock in that particular location. So if you don't have stock available there, you're not going to be able to finish the production, and it's going to tell you that you need to go buy things or transfer them from another location. I'm selecting my perfect pizza, which is the pizza that's ready to sell, and I'm going to create 10. The system's telling me I can actually create 50, and that's because I've got enough boxes and enough pizzas in stock to make 50, but I just want to make 10 in this case. Now down the bottom here, we've got two parts of the workflow. One is the assembly order, and one is the pick list. So for our assembly order, we're just going to hit load BOM. Now, when we load our bill of materials, we can see what it takes to actually create a pizza, the perfect pizza ready to sell. It involves one pizza box and one frozen ready-made pizza that we have, that we need, that we buy, okay? We buy them from different suppliers, and we just need to put them together. We actually have 950 boxes available. We've got 50 ready-made pizzas available. And there's also a line here that I've added as a new thing this week. This was already there, but I've got something else to show you in a minute in relation to this. I've actually added a labor component as well. And for every one pizza that is made, it costs, it's an 5 minutes of labor for every one pizza that is made. So it's $2, and if you get paid $25 an hour, it's actually $2.08 per 5 minutes. And then because we're making 10 pizzas, the total cost of labor for these 10 pizzas is actually $20.83. Now, the reason why I added that in there is not only to show you that you can actually have labor components and factor in labor and other overheads inside Deer, but one of the releases that they've had in addition to the pick line, so I'll show you in the other section, is that you can actually adjust this total cost if you want to. So these ones here can't be adjusted because they're calculated by by Deer. So from the total cost of the components that you've purchased. So you've purchased pizza boxes and they cost, I think, 50 cents each, and there was 10 of them. And then for these ones, the pizzas cost whatever they cost, and it's 30. There's $30 is the total cost. So of these 10 pizzas, we've got the total cost of $55.83 across the 10 pizzas. But you can actually change this total cost. You couldn't do that before. So let's just say maybe your price has gone up and it's a Sunday and so you had to pay someone $40 an hour for the pizzas. I'm not going to calculate it exactly, but let's just say it cost you $25 this time, not $20.83. You can type that in here. You can override that. That's one of the other new features they've provided. Okay, let's authorize that. And now it goes to the pick screen. So as soon as you authorize the assembly order in the pick, you can now add a pick line. But let's just auto pick first of all. We'll just auto pick the pizzas, because auto pick is generally going to bring us up what we need in relation to the bill of materials expects us that we need, but sometimes we might need to add something else. And this button here wasn't there before. So it would just be auto pick, and then you could amend whatever your quantities if you needed to, but you couldn't add extra things in. So here we've got our 10 pizza boxes and we've got our 10 ready-made pizzas. Last week we learned about batch and serial tracking and how we can record batch numbers and expiry dates on our pizzas. And any food and things like that. But we can now add this extra pick line. So if we select add pick line, let's just go and have a look, and we've got this product called the Animal Shapes box set. Let's just say we're doing a special giveaway, and as a free sample we're giving them an Animal Shapes box set as well. So they're still just buying their pizzas, but they get one Animal Shapes box set. Only costs us less than $1, so we're chucking that in. Now if we allocate that extra pick line in here, it means that we don't actually put it on the invoice of the person that is that's buying the pizzas. We're simply just factoring in the cost of that item through the bill of materials here. It just increases the cost of goods sold of our pizza, and it takes out the one Animal Shapes box set from the inventory. Hit allocate and complete. And then because we have everything available, we've picked that. And if we now go to our stock, we would have 10 more pizzas in stock. We'd have 10 less pizza boxes, 10 less ready-made pizzas, and 1 less Animal Shapes box set. All right. The other thing as well that was in that screen, which I didn't point out in detail, and it's been there for a little while, but I think they've only just put it on the release, is that you can delete. They've added the delete button to the pick grid, visible when the status is authorized and in progress. So I can't see it anymore now because I've actually completed that. But now you can select those things and also delete them off if you need to. Before you could zero them out if you didn't want to delete them off, but you can now do that. All right, the next thing that I wanted to show you was the new combined printed documents. Now, when I first read this, I thought it meant that you could print a sales order and a pick list and a shipping note all at once, but it actually means you can combine the, it's like a bulk picking list. So let's go and have a look inside our sales. And here we've got our 3 sales that are fully being completed. And we've got a bunch of sales here that are still at a different status. If you're used to using Deer, then you'll probably be used to these icons here. These icons are actually really, really handy because it can tell you very quickly if something is invoiced, if it's picked, if it's not picked, and where it's up to using these little icons. So I can see here that this is just an order that's in picking stage. Of course, I can see that here as well, but I can also see that it hasn't been invoiced yet because you can actually invoice something as soon as it's ordered if you want to get paid beforehand. It hasn't been invoiced yet, and I can see that because that's yellow and not green. So let's just say these two items here are two that we actually need to pick. So we would do a combined picking list. What we can do is we can tick these two, and instead of going into the first one and printing a picking list and then going to the second one and printing a pick list, we can go to those two, tick them both, and then say combined pick. You can then also sort your data by SKU, product name, location, or box. Now, in this case, with the picking list, we don't have a box happening yet, but we may have different locations or different bins for all the items that are being ordered. You could also instead sort by product name or SKU, which means that you might have them in alphabetical order, where all the different items on the same order can go and get all picked at once and brought back to the place where they're going to be individually picked. So we'll do it as location, I don't think it'll have two different locations, but I'll just show you that, because of course, if you've got different bins in the warehouse, you'd have to go to different places. So here we've got our combined pick list, and the sales orders that we're picking for is 6 and 7. And for the picked products here in the main warehouse, of course, if we had bins, we'd have separate items here. But on both of those sales orders, they're buying the iPad. So that's what's coming up. So that's what's coming up as the ones being picked. I'll see if I can get some more ones here. Let's put some more in there and see if we can get some more items. So you can see the full list. So here now we can see we've got one just called product, one Apple iPad that needs to be picked, one Animal Shapes box set, and one Animal Shapes box set blue. Sorry, 6 of those. So they would be all the items. If we were going to go around the warehouse and pick up all the items that we need to pack, then for these 7 sales orders, then we would go and pick each of these items and then bring it back to the table, then go look at the individual pick list. So if I wanted to see the individual pick list for all of these, instead of selecting combined pick, I could hit pick list, and it will give me a pick list with all of the different pages on it. So here I can see for 7, I have to pick one iPad. So I'd have this detail back at the main packing area. Then for this one, there's no actual products on that. That's sales just saved. For this sales 4, I need to pack one of those Animal Shapes blue sets. For sales 3, etc. Okay, so you could go then print all of these off if you want to, or just look at them on the screen and then print the sales order out. Okay, so you can do that combined picking lists. You can do that for a number of things. If we look at that print list again, we can do a combined order list, a combined pick list, combined packing, and combined shipping. So if you even have a client that needs a shipping list of all the places that they need to, orders that they need to ship out to and where they need to go based on location that they're going to come out of, then you can use that as well. Okay. There's a couple of other updates in relation to the report, so just some minor ones, which I'm not going to take you through, but you can see those on our article on either Dear's website, of course, or on our article on whichaddon.com. If you have a look as well there, you're going to see 2 other settings which I want to show you. One is the CSV upload has been improved in relation to the images upload via CSV. So you can also add a default field to indicate default images. So if you didn't know already, products inside Dear can have product images, and it can make for really professional looking quotes if you can put those products on the product images on the quotes, which you can. Here's an example of the products that I have with images. You can see it up down the end here. So if you're just scrolling over, I think they're all the same in this picture, you can scroll over the images here. Of course, if you're linking with an e-commerce solution, then those images are showing to the customer on the e-commerce side as well. We'll learn more about the e-commerce integrations in our webinars coming up. The other thing though is you can upload the images now, and you can record them as default in the product export. I'm not going to go through how to do that right now, but you can do that. The other one is improved customer supplier addresses load from CSV. And you have an action column added allowing bulk deletion of existing addresses. So this is a cool feature I wanted to show you, not only for the customer addresses and suppliers as such, but it's also a feature that has already existed on bill of materials recently. Now, in other systems I've used, if you exported out a supplier list, if you just deleted them off and imported them back into the system, they would be deleted because they don't exist on that new import. But inside Deer, it wouldn't delete them unless you actually physically told the system to delete them by recording that in the action line. So I've dealt with it, had that problem before with bill of materials, but let me also just show you that function, the new function that they have for customer addresses. And yeah, we'll see it in action, and the same thing exists for the bill of materials. So previously you just had this button which said name, address type, address default, etc. It just went from here to here, but you now have this action column here, and it says create an /update. Now that's fine, but if you want to delete something, you need to actually type the word delete. So if I imported this back in now, it would delete the Boom FM shipping address out of Deer for me. So let's do that. We'll save that. I haven't actually tested this one, but I'm sure I'll see what happens. Let's go to import customer addresses. Those customer addresses have gone in. Let's go and have a look at, who was it, Boom FM, and check if their shipping address is gone. Down in the addresses now, we just have the billing type. We don't have a shipping type. So that's now gone, and that's all we need to do. So that's how easy it is to update and do the bulk deletion of existing addresses now. One other big one I want to show you, there's a couple of other little settings changes, but the main one I wanted to show you was in the general settings. There is the ability to record when you want the ship date to be default to. So new general settings parameter added, which controls what ship date to use by default. Now, I believe this has been here for a while because I've been using it for a while, but they've just put it on the release notes. So let's actually have a look in here, and you'll see there is the default shipment date. So we're in general settings and we're in the sales process customization, and the default shipment date in this file is today, which means that if I go and authorize the ship workflow process today for a sale, it's going to put today as the ship date. But if you want it to be the same as the invoice date, then you can select the same as the invoice date. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, number one, sometimes if you've got new to the system especially, and you have back orders happening because you haven't put in your all your purchase orders and things like that, then, and everything's not up to date yet, then you can create a problem where you've got the back orders and you haven't produced the ship note, but you've actually shipped it off. So that's fine in that if you've picked the stock, it's still come out of stock, but the shipment doesn't actually go out, and the wholesale doesn't finish till later. Now, it doesn't really matter in Deer if you don't do it till later, but what it does affect is Xero. The reason why is the cost of goods sold journal that goes from Deer to Xero when you complete a sale. Well, it's not, that doesn't actually go across when you complete a sale. You do a sales invoice, and when you complete a sales invoice, it'll go across to Xero. When you authorize a shipment, that's when the cost of goods sold journal goes across to Xero. So if you don't do the shipment for 2 weeks after the invoice, then, and it was accidental, then it's going to put the cost of goods sold journal 2 weeks later. It's going to be dated 2 weeks later if you select today is the shipment date. But if you have the shipment date the same as the invoice date, then you won't have that problem. So I've had a lot of people that just do their sales orders, do their send out the sales orders, do their invoices, and then they don't go and finish the shipment process. They don't look at that view all screen and make sure all those pictures are green. They don't finish the process because maybe their business requirements don't require them to. Then they come back and go, well, my cost of goods sold is completely out for the entire month, but it's really big this month, and that will be because their shipments didn't happen till after. So just be aware of how that setting is. Most customers in my case have got it set to the default shipment date to be the same as the invoice date. But if that's not correct, maybe your invoice date is 3 months ago and you don't ship it for 3 months, and you want the cost of goods sold to be in a different month. It's up to you. So have a look at that, but just be aware that's a pretty cool feature, but it really, really helps with your understanding that, helps with your Xero integration reviews and to help make sure that client's getting the right information. All right. I think that's all the things that I wanted to go through with you. There's a couple of other little fixes that they've made, and the integrations page is another one which has now been updated. It used to be like a list underneath the integrations, but it's now showing up like this. So there's lots of different options there. And as I mentioned, in the next webinar, we're going to go through the Shopify integration basics. Not so much a training session, but just show you what's possible. In my become an expert on deer inventory in 8 hours course, I spend about an hour and a half going through all it is that the how to set up Shopify and deer and how to work with all those different things, which of course there's been some improvements to it, so there's some slight changes there, but yeah, it will take too long to go through the whole thing, but I will show you the basics in the half an hour that we've got next week. All right, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to place them in the chat panel now. I thank you for your patience with my audio issues that I had before, simply from not realizing I was still muted because I had my list of things, my run sheet open instead of the chat panel. I get distracted by questions, so I didn't have that open. I shouldn't check the audio first of all in future. So thank you very much, everybody. I'll hang around a little bit longer for any further questions. If not, you will be able to watch the replay in instant replay on YouTube. I'll just cut that first bit off that had no audio, and you'll be able to watch the instant replay on YouTube, and you'll get the replay link after the session. Have a fantastic day, everybody, and I'll see you next week. Bye.